Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor. Now, most of you may remember me from Screen Junkies, but many of you may forget that before Disney Plus, HBO Max, Peacock, and all these other streaming services, Screen Junkies launched their own.
Something big is coming. Screen Junkies Plus.
Back in November of 2015, we launched Screen Junkies Plus. It was a big move to attempt to join the streaming giants by getting in early to create a fan club of sorts. For only $5 a month, you got all this exclusive content featuring a lot of your favorite movie critics. We also created our first scripted series called Interns of Field. And we even had an exclusive show which I loved, starring Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes. However, the app shuttered in the summer of 2017. And ever since then, I've had a lot of fans come up to me and ask, what happened to Screen Junkies Plus? Was there any profit there? Could it have worked? Was it a complete failure? I really just wanted to share some of my lessons learned from the experience. But to really get through it all, I got to go back and start with the summer of 2015. That's when we performed The Rock Wedding. We got Dwayne The Rock Johnson to marry one of our own, Nick Mundy. But this wasn't just a big view thing. After securing this get, and doing it in 7 minutes, mind you, which I'm immensely proud of, studios started taking notice. Warner Brothers, who had previously not really paid any attention to us, started paying attention to us. And then we realized now we were growing an audience. And so the higher-ups, not me, decided, let's create a streaming platform for the fans of Screen Junkies. Now, at this point in time in 2015, I was legitimately thinking about leaving Screen Junkies. I'd been getting other offers, and I realized I was sort of hitting a wall where I currently was. While I loved the people and what I did at Screen Junkies, the company itself didn't have any other bigger properties or a Rolodex of celebrities or things that I knew we needed to really take it to the next level. So I started taking meetings with other studios, some other celebrities, people who wanted me to try and make content for them. Now, quick tip for anybody out there looking for work. It always gets back to your boss if you're out there taking meetings. Because look, the industries are actually smaller than you realize, and people like to talk. Information is valuable. But I realized, look, I'm allowed to take meetings. Of course I'm going to take meetings. That's how I always got better paid. I always got poached or better opportunities when I could say, hey, somebody offered me something better. So noticing that Screen Junkies was really starting to ride high and that we were looking for other opportunities, they knew they needed to lock us in. It was at that point that the company offered us a better contract. It was a 3-year contract that I was very hesitant to sign because I thought there were new opportunities. But they threw this opportunity at me, this streaming service. And I knew that was the future. I knew win, lose, or fail, this would be an experience that I would learn so much from because I knew that's where the entertainment industry was heading. My goal for Screen Junkies always was to become the ESPN of movie and TV nerds. And I always kept pitching that to the higher-ups because I knew that was a thing that was missing in the industry. So this idea of creating a smaller level Netflix for true movie nerds felt like something that wasn't impossible. So I was tasked with helping to figure out how to create exclusive premium content for this streaming platform. So I was given a pretty large budget. I was able to get my colleagues better deals as well. And I was able to hire and work with a lot of other people in the industry that I loved. And most important to me was the opportunity to finally produce a high budget premium scripted series, which we were very excited to do. So I accepted the deal and began creatively planning out the programming for Screen Junkies Plus. I remember early on the name was something that took forever to agree upon. It seems now Screen Junkies Plus, like, wow, well, duh, you just clearly borrowed everybody else. But we did it before all of them. Some of the other names that we were considering were Screen Junkies Gold. I remember there was Screen Junkies Elite, but both of those sounded way too fancy. At one point, I did pitch Screen Junkies Universe, which we later used for a show on the series, which then became Screen Junkies News. But we used any tech buzzword you can think of. Going back, I know there was Screen Junkies Prime, there was Screen Junkies Red, Screen Junkies Platinum. Ultimately, out of all the names, I fought pretty hard for Screen Junkies Plus because I just felt like it was what it was, and it didn't feel full of itself. So it was around May of 2015 where things really started to get going, and the name didn't get settled on for way closer till release. But we didn't just have to create content. We had to create a whole new app and a new website where we could not only stream all this original content, but stream it live. And what I believe was an attempt to save money, the company used an in-house development team to create the app. And that should have been red flag number 1 for me. Now, I don't say that to disparage anyone on the development side because honestly, I wasn't there. I was worried about the creative content side. But every time we had meetings, I saw the struggles. Well, I thought they had the experience to do this. This was really the first time they created something so large in nature. And with such a short deadline approaching, they really should have brought in some experts to do it. In the development side, we spent way too much time just trying to figure out how to get it done, that we had no time to make it really fantastic or how to make it better. So to their credit, while they did get it out for launch, It wasn't available on a lot of platforms and in a lot of countries. That didn't help us at all. See, they wanted to see results immediately, and that was red flag number 2. I assumed there was a budget to extend this over the course of several years. Netflix was not a hit out the gate. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars to get where they are today. And I assumed we'd have a little bit of that money to get the word of mouth going. So between that 5 to 6 month development to launch time, we not only had to make the app and the website work, we had to create content for it. But we also had to market it. We had to make sure people would come check it out because it was behind a paywall. And the only platform we had to do that properly was the Screen Junkies YouTube channel. That was red flag number 3. I assumed we would have other opportunities to get the word out there. I assumed we'd get way more interest in people wanting to cover it. But they really didn't. It was a struggle for our PR team to get the word out there because no one really cared. So the only real method we had was through our fan base. And one of the biggest mistakes I regret doing is we didn't inform our fan base until pretty much the week before release. That was a huge mistake. We had a fan base that really enjoyed our work, that was fans of us, and we sort of thrusted upon them out of nowhere this opportunity to buy a streaming service for $5 a month. Oh, and check it out. The shows are kind of like the stuff you're already seeing for free on YouTube. In hindsight, the real mistake of Screen Junkies Plus was advertising it as a premium app with premium content. The reality is we should have marketed it as a fan club. If we had marketed it as a fan club and created content that was cheap to produce, we would have actually done pretty well. But instead, we ended up paying a lot of money for our scripted series, for series with celebrities, as well as deals with other big YouTubers to get them to make exclusive content for the website. More on that in a little bit. So here I was signing up for this opportunity to make a premium app with premium content, but then not really getting the budget to make more than 2 premium shows. But here we are advertising this app as a premium app with premium content, and it didn't even have any of that premium content at launch. Our biggest show, Interns of Field, didn't even debut until a few weeks later. So people who were coming in to pay $5 out of nowhere were getting series that they could have seen anywhere. Had we had promoted this as a fan club, and we had promoted this for months ongoing and talked about it, brought the fans involved so they could help make sure they were aware of what shows we were doing, making sure they knew and were getting excited with us before launch. Instead, we sort of thrusted it on them, expecting everyone to say, yes, give me more of all of these. And we had no real way to market it anywhere else aside from our own YouTube channels. And honestly, that was the biggest problem in my eyes for why Screen Junkies Plus didn't succeed. We aimed too high and spent too much money on this idea that the higher-ups wanted to create Netflix. When we didn't have the budget to make Netflix, we had the budget to create a fan club with cool series, live movie fights, a bunch of ancillary content that our diehard fans would have paid that I think ultimately would have been a success. But because we were a bigger corporation, because we were a bigger company, they needed more money. It wasn't just Dan Spencer and I making the channel. There was a lot of people behind the scenes that needed to get paid. The higher-ups of the company were fooling themselves to think that we had a Netflix-like offering when we really just had an ancillary Patreon-level bonus. And I don't say that to knock any of our shows. I'm very proud of the work we did, and I'm going to get into those shows and how they performed, etc. But that was the ultimate problem. Anybody who loved Screen Junkies Plus knows the best part was the fan interaction. It was the call-in shows. It was the live movie fights. It was the after fights. They were buying it because of us, me, Spencer, Dan. If they didn't know who we were, why would they pay for a premium to see more of us? That was the problem. We were so short-sighted, and honestly, in my viewpoint, I was so worried about just getting the content made and figuring out how do we grow this up that I lost focus of the bigger picture. We didn't have the budget or the resources to create a Netflix, but everyone above me assumed that's what we were launching, when we really were just launching a fan club. And I remember sitting in meetings where they were very adamant that they didn't want this to be a fan club, but it was a fan club. Now, the biggest question I always get is how many subscribers did Screen Junkies Plus have? And the reality is I don't actually know, because while I was told certain numbers, I don't know if I believe those numbers anymore, to be honest. I was told 20,000. Now, again, don't quote me on that. That's just what I was told. I can tell you, though, as a fact, our contracts allowed us to get monetary bonuses if we helped hit a certain amount of subscribers. And I know that we got bonus levels if we hit 25,000 subscribers. I never got that bonus. And no spreadsheets I was shown ever showed more than 20,000 subscribers. Since we didn't have Netflix budgets, I wanted it to be a glorified fan club. But sadly, we sold it as a premium service and a premium app with premium content. And that was our biggest mistake. I'm so proud of Interns of Field. It is an amazing show that so many people worked hard on. In fact, you can watch it right now. Somehow it's back online. That show deserves to be seen. It's not perfect, but we did so much good work on that show. And I was so sad that it didn't get to go out there into the real world and that was stuck behind a paywall. Because once we launched that first episode, there was no real way to keep marketing it after that. We needed 10 of those shows for it to make a dent. And I thought we were going to have that budget. But as soon as Interns of Field came out and didn't perform as strong as they hoped it would be, which is that they wanted it to be a huge viral smash right out the gate, as soon as that didn't happen, everyone started going, well, wait, what are we doing? It took that one failure to put doubt in everyone's mind as to, well, maybe we shouldn't invest more money into this. And that's when things really started going down. We had such high goals for this app that when it started to sort of level off at a certain number, they obviously did not want to throw more money at it. But for any of these streaming apps to perform, you got to throw money at them, or you got to buy licensing libraries. Streaming movies was actually something we had considered because they had done it previously over on Break.com. If you're unfamiliar with the Break brand, it was a very popular site years ago for dudes. Groin shots, pranks, comedy sketches, etc. I actually made a lot of good content for Break. And then when the company went under and they sold all their assets, somehow Break recently, all the content just disappeared. All the hard work I did online evaporated. So friendly tip to all of you at home, if you ever make something for a company, a video, whatever, and you want to keep a copy, get a copy and put it on your own hard drive. And then back up that hard drive because nothing on YouTube lasts forever. Lesson learned. But back to the topic at hand, Break.com tried to put Kung Fu movies on the website, thinking, well, we're a dude site, this could make sense. And it didn't. It didn't actually offer more downloads of their app. It didn't really bring people in. It didn't work. However, look, to their credit, that was an interesting experiment. They were always trying to think outside the box and figure out new ways to get income, sometimes to their detriment. I do think as a company, we often went outside of our lane too often, and we didn't have the resources to have multiple lanes going on at once. It's a problem a lot of businesses suffer. You got to learn to stay in your lane. What is the goal of this brand, of this website? How do we make sure this works? How do we lift it up? If you're starting to then focus, well, what if we do a movie streaming site at the same time? You're going to have to distract and pull resources from the main goal to focus on the second goal. So then you got multiple pots brewing at the same time. Now, sometimes it works. Sometimes you're out, well, we tried this and oh my God, we're seeing huge results. Put all resources there. Sometimes it can work. Sadly, it didn't work for us. And the streaming of the movies was one of those pots that they were trying to brew that just never boiled. And so I knew that. I knew it failed on Break, and I knew it wouldn't really work on Screen Junkies either because the titles weren't very good. They were not exclusive movies. There were a couple you would have heard of, and they would have been there, but it felt out of place. I knew like we needed to add something extra to it. That was always my goal with the content of the app was, all right, how do we make this a little bit more special? So I was like, well, if we're going to get these movies, then let's at least add like an honest commentary to them. That way the three of us can sit there drunkenly cracking jokes and the fans can watch with us. I realized I had to use the ingredients I had around me. That's always something I've done. I feel like that's one of my strengths as a content creator is if you tell me what we have, if you tell me what celebrity is, if you tell me what movie it is, if you tell me what we have access to, I will figure out a way to crack that into the most interesting way we can and cheapest way we can. And that's what Screen Junkies Plus ultimately was. I tried my damnedest to give you the best we could on Screen Junkies Plus. But the reality is we just ultimately didn't get the budget or the resources to do what we really hoped we could do. All of this said, I'm immensely proud of the work we did on Screen Junkies Plus. And I have to thank so many people. It was not just me. Ann, Max, Ken, Warren, Parker, Gracie, Mike, David, Carrie, Matt, Danica, Greg, so many amazing editors from Marcus to Liam, to Kevin. I mean, so many I'm forgetting and I apologize. So many of you helped us put together Screen Junkies Plus. Aside from the ones you know, so many people behind the scenes worked their butt off to make that work. We were under so much pressure and we were making so much content all at the same time. It was bananas. And it was tough at times. It was frustrating at times. It was so frustrating to have so much good work behind a paywall that not a lot of people saw. But that said, we managed to pull off some miracles. I am still so impressed with the work we did launching that in the time we had, with the budget we had, against the pressures we had, and what we were able to do. It was such an amazing opportunity to try and pull off that undertaking, which we did. Sadly, it didn't perform as well as we all wanted to. Now, there's so much to talk about the programming. Yes, the shows we did with Jeremy Johns, Chris Stuckman, Kevin Smith, Casper Von Dien, Doug Benson. So much I want to break down. Our roasts, Interns of Field. I want to break that down in its own video talking about the programming of Screen Junkies Plus, sharing my thoughts about it. So I'm going to put that into a part 2, which I'll be releasing probably very soon, if not tomorrow or soon. If you haven't yet subscribed, though, to this channel, please join the Popcorn Planet family. Hit that subscribe, hit all alerts to all, smash that like button, and leave a comment to keep the engagement going on this channel. You can also follow me on social media at Andy Signor. Thank you guys so much for watching this and staying with me. I got so much in store for you, so hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't already, watch some of these videos. In fact, I maybe already dropped part 2 right there. If I did, it's on the left. If I didn't, hit subscribe. It'll be there soon. Thanks again, everybody.